Now, Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami, purifying food with truth. How does chanting Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami ensure fairness and honesty in meal service? And the Satyena Tvartena Parishinchami means I purify this offering with truth and sincerity. At the Annapurna kitchen, volunteers use this mantra to maintain honest intentions while preparing and serving food. It reduces political favoritism or selective invitations because purity of intention becomes the guiding principle. Meals are consciously offered, creating a spiritually inclusive and equitable environment. Eaters feel valued and respected, while staff cultivate mindfulness, integrity, and gratitude, preventing conflicts and stress from exclusion or hierarchy. The Gayatri Mantra, or illuminating awareness and service. How does the Gayatri Mantra guide volunteers in equitable meal distribution? The Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat illuminates intellect and awareness in Annapurna. Volunteers chanting this mantra develop heightened mindfulness, ensuring all participants receive meals equally. Political favoritism or hierarchy becomes irrelevant. Meals transform into spiritually conscious offerings, and eaters feel included. Staff internalize fairness, respect, and gratitude, promoting harmony and reducing conflicts. Now, Om Amrato Pastaranam Asiswaha, offering immortal nourishment. How does this mantra support equality in food service? Ever Om Amrato Pastaranam Asi Swaha transforms every meal into immortal energy for all eaters. At Annapurna Kitchen, chanting this mantra ensures that nourishment is distributed equally, regardless of hierarchy or influence. Political manipulation or selective services neutralize. Meals become spiritually conscious acts, fostering inclusion, gratitude, and harmony. Staff internalize fairness, and participants experience respect and nourishment. Now, the Pranaya Swaha, offering meals to life force. How does offering to prana enhance mindful and equitable meal service? Om Pranaya Swaha dedicates meals to vital life force. Volunteers at the Annapurna kitchen internalize that food nourishes all participants equally. Political favoritism, exclusion, or hierarchy becomes irrelevant. Meals are served mindfully, creating inclusion and respect. Staff cultivate gratitude, spiritual awareness, and conscious service. Eaters feel valued, and harmony is maintained, reducing stress and conflicts caused by food politics. Now, Apanaya Swaha, releasing bias in service. How does this mantra prevent favoritism or exclusion? Om Apanaya Swaha focuses on letting go of downward energies of control and bias. At Annapurna, volunteers internalize equality and fairness, ensuring all eaters receive nourishment in equally. Political manipulation or selective service becomes irrelevant. Meals become spiritually conscious offerings. Eaters experience inclusion, gratitude, and respect. Volunteers develop mindfulness, conscious service, and harmony. Now, the Vyanaya Swaha, ensuring balanced energy distribution. How does offering to Vyana ensure equitable food flow? Om Vyanaya Swaha governs energy circulation. At Annapurna Kitchen, volunteers chanting this mantra ensure that nourishment flows evenly to all eaters. Political favoritism, exclusion, or hierarchy loses significance. Meals become spiritually conscious acts. Eaters feel respected and included, while staff cultivate mindfulness, balance, and collective harmony. Stress and conflicts arising from food politics are minimized. Now, the Udanaya Swaha, elevating meals to higher consciousness. How does chanting this mantra spiritually uplift the food service? Om Udanaya Swaha connects food service to upward moving energy and higher consciousness. Volunteers at the Annapurna internalize that meals are sacred and should be offered equally. Hierarchy, favoritism, or exclusion becomes irrelevant. Eaters feel spiritually nourished and included. Staff cultivate mindfulness and conscious service. And gratitude meal service transforms into a spiritually harmonious, inclusive, and politically neutral practice. Now, the Samanaya Swa, maintaining energy balance for all. How does this mantra ensure fairness in meal service? The Om Samanaya Swaha ensures balance in energies of food, staff, and eaters. At the Annapurna, it reminds volunteers and cooks that nourishment should reach all equally. Political favoritism or exclusion is neutralized. Meals become spiritually conscious offerings, fostering inclusion, gratitude, and harmony. Staff cultivate mindfulness and equality, while eaters feel respected and valued. Stress and conflicts are minimized. Now, the Brahmaneswa, serving food as divine offerings. How does this mantra eliminate hierarchy in meal service? The Om Brahmaneswa reminds all volunteers that food is an offering to Brahman. At Annapurna, this perspective ensures that meals are served to everyone equally. Political favoritism or exclusion becomes irrelevant. Meals become spiritual acts, and eaters feel included and respected. Staff internalize mindfulness, equality, and conscious service, fostering harmony and reducing stress. Now, the Amratapi Dhanamasi Swaha, transforming meals into immortal energy. How does this mantra create equitable and spiritually nourishing meals? Now, the Om Amratapi Dhanamasi Swaha transforms food into immortal energy for all participants. At Annapurna, chanting this mantra ensures equality, mindfulness, and conscious service. Political favoritism, hierarchy, or exclusion is neutralized. Meals become spiritually charged offerings. Eaters feel respected, included, and nourished, while volunteers cultivate gratitude, fairness, and harmony. This mantra fosters a stress-free, politically neutral, and spiritually conscious food environment. Now, handling hierarchical pressure using mantras. How can volunteers manage hierarchical pressure in meal service during mantras? The hierarchical pressures often cause selective serving or favoritism. By chanting Annadata Sukhi Bhava, volunteers remind themselves that food service is a sacred duty and all contributions the kitchen staff, the HR, or the volunteers and the teachers deserve respect. Om Sahana Bhavatu strengthens teamwork, ensuring that even when authority pressures staff, meals are served inclusively. The Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha elevates food to a divine offering, making political influence irrelevant. Volunteers internalize mindfulness and equality. Participants feel respected, reducing conflicts and stress. Now, preventing exclusion of new volunteers. How can the bhojanam vidhi mantras help include newcomers in meal service? The new volunteers may feel excluded due to internal politics. Reciting Om Samanaya Swaha balances the energies among all eaters, making the meal service inclusive. Om Brahmane Swaha reminds everyone that the food offering is for all, irrespective of seniority. At Annapurna, newcomers are served with respect and volunteers internalize gratitude and fairness. This creates an environment where political favoritism does not influence access to food. Now, resolving conflicts among volunteers. How can conflicts between kitchen staff be resolved spiritually? Jagadev Om Sahana Bhavatu fosters cooperation, patience, and mutual respect. When volunteers argue over serving, order, or distribution, chanting this mantra together aligns their energies. The Satyen Tvartena Parishinchami ensures honesty in intentions, and Om Amratapi Dhanamasi Swaha transforms food service into a spiritual act. Conflicts are replaced with mindfulness, inclusivity, and conscious service. Participants feel the neutrality and equality in meal offerings. Now, managing limited resources without politics, how do the Bhojanam Vidhi mantras guide equitable distribution when food is limited? Now, the Om Pranaya Swaha dedicates meals to life energy, ensuring fairness. Om Apanaya Swaha releases bias in distribution. And Om Vyanaya Swaha maintains balanced energy flow. Volunteers at the Annapurna apply these mantras to serve portions equitably, ensuring no one is excluded regardless of hierarchy or influence. Mindfulness, respect, and spiritual consciousness prevail over political manipulation. Now, handling complaints about food politics. How can staff handle complaints regarding favoritism or exclusion? Now, the volunteers and staff can chant Om Udanaya Swaha to elevate their consciousness above ego or resentment. The Annadatta Sukhi Baba encourages gratitude toward all contributors. By explaining the spiritual context of Bhojanam Vidhi and the mantra based conscious offering, staff can reassure eaters that meals are meant for everyone equally. Inclusion, equality, and mindfulness reduce complaints and build trust. Now, serving VIP guests without favoritism. How can volunteers serve VIP guests without creating political favoritism? The volunteers can chant the Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha to remember that meals are divine offerings, not privileges based on social status. Om Samanaya Swaha balances energies, ensuring all eaters receive equal attention. The Annadatta Sukhi Baba fosters gratitude toward those who provide food, even with VIPs present. Volunteers maintain mindfulness, ensuring other participants are equally respected and served. The political manipulation is neutralized as the meal becomes a conscious and spiritual act. Now, late arrivals and equal access. How do Bhojanavidi mantras ensure latecomers are served without discrimination? Om Vyanaya Swaha ensures balanced energy distribution, and Om Pranaya Swaha dedicates food to life force for all. Volunteers chanting these mantras treat late arrivals equally, avoiding favoritism or resentment. Om Brahmane Swaha reinforces that food is a sacred offering for all. Latecomers feel included, respected, and spiritually nourished. Staff internalize mindfulness, fairness, and conscious service. Now, handling dietary restrictions mindfully. How can volunteers manage dietary needs while preventing conflicts? By chanting Om Amritapi Dhanamasi Swaha, volunteers transform each meal into spiritually nourishing energy for everyone. Om Udanaya Swaha elevates conscious serving, and Satyam Tvartena Parisinchami ensures honesty in accommodating needs. Volunteers remain mindful of equality, providing proper portions for restricted diets without causing resentment. Meals become inclusive, neutral, and spiritually conscious. Now, resolving conflicts between volunteers and eaters. How can mantras help when eaters feel excluded or mistreated? The Om Sahana Bhavatu promotes patience, cooperation, and harmony between staff and eaters. The Annadata Sukhi Bhava fosters gratitude toward contributors. Om Amrato Pastaranam Asi Swaha transforms meals into offerings for all, making exclusion irrelevant. Volunteers and eaters experience mutual respect, inclusion, and mindfulness. Political favoritism is neutralized, and meals remain spiritually conscious, fostering collective harmony. Now, maintaining neutrality during festivals. How do mantras prevent political manipulation during large festival meals? Festivals attract many guests and volunteers, increasing the risk of favoritism. Om Brahmane Swaha reminds staff that all food is divine offering. Om Samanaya Swaha balances energies, ensuring everyone receives equal care. The Annadatta Sukhi Bhava encourages gratitude and mindfulness. Volunteers internalize inclusion and fairness, while eaters feel equally respected. The political manipulation is neutralized, and meals maintain spiritual purity and harmony. Now, managing volunteer hierarchies. How can mantras help volunteers work without ego or competition? Yeah, the Om Sahana Bhavatu fosters cooperation and mutual respect, reducing ego-driven competition. Om Vyanaya Swaha balances energies in all participants, preventing favoritism. Brahmarpanam Brahmaviha elevates food service into a sacred act, transcending hierarchy. Volunteers focus on mindful service rather than status, ensuring all eaters are treated equally. Political manipulation and internal conflicts are neutralized. Now, teaching bhojanam vidhi through new staff. How can mantras help new volunteers learn proper meal service? Teaching new staff to chant Annadata Sukhi Bhava, Om Samanaya Swaha, and Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviya instills mindfulness, inclusion, and gratitude. Staff learn to respect food providers, serve all participants equally, and prevent hierarchy or political influence. These mantras reinforce fairness, spiritual consciousness, and harmony in meal service. Now, handling miscommunication in kitchen teams. How do mantras reduce misunderstandings among volunteers? The Om Sahana Bhavatu promotes harmony, cooperation, and patience. The Satyam Tvartena Parisinchami ensures honesty in intentions, while Om Udanaya Swaha elevates conscious service. Volunteers communicate mindfully, resolving conflicts before they escalate. Meals are served inclusively, reducing stress and political manipulation. Staff internalize fairness, respect, and spiritual awareness. Now, avoiding political bias in food distribution. How do mantras ensure meals are free of favoritism? Like the Om Brahmane Swaha and Om Samanaya Swaha remind volunteers that food service is a sacred duty. The Annadata Sukhi Bhava fosters gratitude for all contributors. Volunteers serve meals equally to everyone, regardless of influence or hierarchy. The political bias loses relevance. Eaters feel included, and staff cultivate mindfulness, equality, and conscious service, creating a harmonious and stress-free environment. Now, using mantras to foster gratitude in eaters. How do the bhojanam vidhi mantras inspire gratitude among eaters? Like the Annadata Sukhi Bhava encourages eaters to appreciate the efforts of food providers. Om Brahmane Swaha reminds them that meals are divine offerings. Om Amratopastaranam Asi Swaha transforms meals into spiritually nourishing energy. Gratitude replaces resentment or hierarchy driven competition. Eaters feel included, respected, and spiritually nourished. Staff witnesses appreciation, reinforcing mindful and equitable service. Now, managing stress during peak meal hours. How can volunteers manage stress during busy meal times using mantras? During peak hours, volunteers often feel pressured, which may lead to mistakes or favoritism. Chanting Om Sahana Bhavatu fosters patience and cooperation, while Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviya reminds staff that serving food is a sacred act. Om Vyanaya Swaha ensures food energy both in flow in both volunteers and eaters, reducing tension. The Annadata Sukhi Baba cultivates gratitude for contributors and participants. Together, these mantras help volunteers maintain calm, serve everyone equitably, and prevent political favoritism or exclusion. Meals become mindful, inclusive, and stress-free. Now, resolving disputes between volunteers. How can mantras help resolve disputes among kitchen staff? Now, the kitchen disputes can arise over serving order, portions, or responsibilities. Om Sahana Bhavatu encourages teamwork, patience, and harmony. The Satyam Tvartena Parisinjami reinforces honesty and purity of intention. Om Samanaya Swaha ensures balanced energies in the kitchen, preventing favoritism. Volunteers internalize equality and fairness, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for mindful service. Eaters benefit from respectful and inclusive food distribution, creating a politically neutral environment. Now, teaching bhojanam vidhi to large groups. How can mantras help when teaching bhojanam vidhi to many volunteers? Large groups may struggle with coordination or understanding the spiritual importance of food. Chanting the Annadata Sukhi Bhava, Om Brahmane Namaha, or Om Amritapi Dhanamasi Swaha during training instills mindfulness, equality, and gratitude. Volunteers learn to serve food respectfully, avoid favoritism, and treat all participants equally. Practical demonstration with mantra recitation creates a spiritually conscious and harmonious kitchen culture. Now, handling complaints about political bias. How can volunteers address complaints regarding favoritism or exclusion? Volunteers can calmly explain the spiritual significance of Bhojanam Vidhi using mantras like Om Udanaya Swaha Annadata Sukhi Bhava and Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha. This demonstrates that meals are sacred offerings meant for everyone equally. Om Sahana Bhavatu reinforces harmony and teamwork among staff. By serving all eaters mindfully, political bias loses relevance. Complaints decrease, and both volunteers and eaters experience inclusion, respect, and spiritual nourishment. Now, sustaining a spiritually harmonious kitchen, how can mantras help maintain a long term harmony in Annapurna kitchen? Like the regular recitation of Annadata Sukhi Bhava, Om Brahmane Swaha, and Om Samanaya Swaha and Om Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviya reinforces equality, mindfulness, and food conscious service. Volunteers serve food with respect, avoiding hierarchy or favoritism. Political manipulation or exclusion is neutralized as meals are offered as sacred acts. Eaters feel included and spiritually nourished while staff experience reduced stress, increased gratitude, and harmonious teamwork. Over time, the kitchen becomes a model of mindful, politically neutral, and spiritually conscious food service. Now, how can the managing volunteer fatigue during long meal preparations? How can mantras help volunteers cope with fatigue while serving food? The fatigue can lead to impatience or inadvertent favoritism. Volunteers chanting Om Sana Bhava to cultivate patience and teamwork. Om Vyanaya Swaha balances energy, ensuring that tired volunteers maintain focus and fairness. The Annadatta Sukhi Bhava reminds staff of the sacredness of their role, fostering gratitude toward contributors and recipients alike. The Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviha elevates the act of serving food, transforming fatigue into conscious spiritual service. Meals are delivered mindfully, stress decreases, and food politics becomes irrelevant. Now, maintaining equality during volunteer rotations. How do mantras ensure fairness when volunteers rotate roles? Rotations can cause a perceived favoritism or hierarchy. Om Samanaya Swaha ensures energy balance across volunteers. Om Brahmane Swaha reminds all that food is a divine offering regardless of role. The Annadata Sukhi Baba fosters gratitude toward each volunteer's contribution. By chanting these mantras, staff internalize fairness, treat all participants equally, and prevent a political influence from affecting meal service. Now, managing emotional stress among eaters. How do mantras help volunteers or participants who are stressed or upset? Negative Om Sahana Bhavatu promotes patience and empathy toward eaters. Om Amrato Pastaranam Asi Swaha transforms the food into spiritual nourishment, calming emotional turbulence. Annadata Sukhi Bhava encourages volunteers to serve mindfully and with their gratitude. Meals become inclusive, creating emotional relief and a sense of belonging. Political favoritism or exclusion is neutralized, fostering harmony and trust between staff and participants. Now, serving large groups without conflicts. How do the Bhojanam Vidhi mantras prevent conflicts in serving large groups? Large gatherings can amplify tensions. Om Vyanaya Swaha ensures balanced energy distribution, while Om Udanaya Swaha elevates the consciousness of the service. Anadata Sukhi Bhava reminds volunteers of the sacredness of their role. By chanting these mantras, volunteers maintain mindfulness, fairness, and inclusion, preventing food politics, favoritism, or hierarchy from affecting service. Now, enhancing volunteer mindfulness during meal prep. How can mantras improve focus and mindfulness during preparation? Brahmarpanam Brahmahaviya reminds volunteers that every ingredient is a divine offering. Om Samanaya Swaha balances energies in the kitchen, and Satyam Tvartena Parishinchami purifies intentions. Volunteers become more attentive, avoiding mistakes, favoritism, or internal conflicts. Meals are prepared with their conscious awareness, fostering inclusion, gratitude, and harmony for both eaters and staff. Jagadev.